Welcome to today's custom deep dive. Traditionally, learning a second language or even mastering your native English grammar, well, it relies heavily on friction. It's kind of the linguistic equivalent of lifting weights. You drill syntax, you stumble through essay drafts, and that cognitive struggle itself is exactly where the neurological pathways get built.
Right, which is why generative AI threw such a massive wrench into the gears of education.
Yeah, huge wrench.
Because, the struggle just evaporates. We all know the current landscape, right? Students can just conjure a perfectly structured, grammatically flawless thesis in 2 seconds. The friction is completely gone.
Exactly. And since we already know the old model's breaking, we're skipping the basic, the whole AI is just a cheating tool debate today. Instead, we are unpacking a fascinating professional hub designed specifically for middle and high school English teachers.
Right, focusing on the preparatory and secondary stages.
Yeah, and this resource isn't fighting the tech. It's trying to figure out what education actually looks like when that traditional friction disappears.
And the approach they are taking is a radical departure from how we historically teach language. They aren't trying to reintroduce the old friction.
Right, they want a new kind of friction.
Exactly. They're trying to introduce an entirely new kind of cognitive load.
Well, okay, let's unpack how they actually propose doing this for teenagers. Because handing a large language model to a high schooler feels less like giving them a calculator and more like assigning them a world-class sparring partner in a boxing ring.
Oh, I like that.
Right. The machine can throw endless conversational variations at them, and the student has to adapt their reflexes on the fly rather than just, memorizing a static routine.
Well, I like the sparring partner analogy, though the source actually frames it slightly more collaboratively.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not just about reacting to the AI, it's about actively reverse engineering it. The resource details how secondary educators should move away from teaching baseline syntax.
Because the machine already has that mastered.
Exactly. And pivot to high-level rhetorical analysis.
So what does that actually look like in a Wednesday morning English class?
Well, here's a concrete example from the materials. Instead of writing a persuasive essay from scratch, a student prompts the AI to generate 3 different arguments on a single topic.
Okay.
Say, 1 using emotional appeal, 1 strictly logical, and 1 highly academic. The student's task isn't to write the paragraphs. Their task is to dissect why the AI chose specific adjectives for the emotional argument versus the logical one. They're grading the AI.
Wow, that is a massive shift in expectations. Rather than burning all their mental energy just trying to conjugate verbs correctly or format a topic sentence, they are immediately bumped up to the executive level.
Yes, they're forced to evaluate tone, bias, and structure.
Right.
And the pedagogical psychology here is what makes it work. By critiquing multiple AI outputs, the student is engaging in comparative analysis.
Which builds deeper comprehension.
Way deeper than rote memorization ever could. They aren't just learning what a good sentence looks like. They're learning how manipulating syntax changes the impact on the reader.
But wait, if we're suddenly turning students into executive editors of AI-generated text, that completely changes the teacher's job description. You're no longer red-penning bad grammar. You're evaluating a teenager's critical thinking and prompt engineering.
You are.
So if I'm a teacher who spent 20 years perfecting my lesson plan on dangling modifiers, how am I supposed to pivot to that?
Well, that's the exact friction point this resource aims to solve. You just can't overhaul the student experience without entirely rewiring professional development. The hub focuses heavily on creating new training methodologies for the educators themselves.
Because the entire infrastructure relies on their fluency with these tools.
Exactly.
But here's where I have to push back, though. It's great to talk about new training methodologies, but traditional professional development moves at a glacial pace.
Oh, absolutely.
By the time a school board drafts, approves, and rolls out a new training manual on how to teach alongside AI, the underlying model has already been updated 3 times. How does any top-down training possibly keep up with Silicon Valley release cycles?
It doesn't. And that's the crucial realization driving this source. Traditional top-down professional development is functionally obsolete in this context.
Right.
What this hub provides is a decentralized, community-driven ecosystem.
So it's more like open source software development, but for teaching methodologies.
That's a perfect way to look at it. The hub allows educators across different preparatory and secondary schools to share prompt structures, critique failed lesson plans, and update training modules in real time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if an AI update drops on on a Tuesday and breaks a specific essay-generating assignment, a teacher in another district has a workaround posted to the hub by Wednesday. It's agile professional development.
So as you look at the landscape of modern education, the core takeaway from this source is that surviving the AI era requires a synchronized dual focus. You need these high-level analytical classroom strategies that treat AI as a sparring partner for the students.
Right.
But that completely fails unless you pair it with a dynamic peer-to-peer training network for the teachers.
And it leaves you with a fascinating, slightly unsettling question to mull over. If these community-driven strategies successfully integrate AI into middle and high school classrooms, what happens to the title of English teacher a decade from now?
Wow. Yeah.
If the machine permanently handles the mechanics of spelling, grammar, and basic syntax, will the role shift entirely away from teaching the mechanics of language?
Will we even call them English teachers, or will they basically become creative art directors teaching students solely how to direct, manipulate, and edit the output of a machine? It's definitely something to think about the next time you see a teenager collaborating with a screen.